Correct.
There we go.
It's June. Get some things ready. So welcome again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I see you've been winged by a bullet.
Yeah.
There's been a shootout.
I've got
you
a
were the
bandage
tech
up
guy,
here.
so you were in the back.
I've got a bandage up here. Hold on. See, so I'm still unprofessional as it turns out. No, actually, what had happened was on my way over here, I was loading up the supplies in my trunk, and right now I am driving a Tesla. I don't own it. I'm just doing it for work. But and the trunk didn't go up all the way, and I didn't notice it didn't go up all the way. And so here's what happens with trunks. So I'm just going to do it. So you open up the trunk, right? And you say, okay, cool. Then you turn around, you pick up your things, and you turn back around. And since it didn't go up all the way, it was right here at my head. And I turned back around like this, and
Bend right into it.
I banged right into it, and then I ended up bleeding in my forehead from it. And so it was almost like Elon Musk was running a mafia to injure me.
Does he get to keep the car if you die? Is that what?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's a funny thing, because Elon Musk got a start at a company called PayPal.
And your favorite organization.
He was part of something called the PayPal Mafia. And that, I happen to have about 10 pages written on that. And maybe they knew about that.
They knew you were typing.
While I was typing this thing.
Zuckerberg told them.
So, let's talk about the PayPal Mafia includes stock manipulator Elon Musk and noted gay fascist Peter Thiel. And also they have these two people called Jeremy Stoppel and Russell Simmons, who we're going to be talking about today.
Russell Simmons, not the
no, not that
Def
one.
Jam guy.
Not that one. And so the term mafia is used complimentary in the business press to describe the prowess and the success of the PayPal team. Oh, right, they're also criminals and thugs, and we're going to get into that. Right. So, in 2004, these men found an online review site, and they named it Yelp. What do you think about Yelp?
Yelp is really virtually corrupt. It really is.
Do you find it to be useful at all?
I actually have, but you have to get through all of the things. You have to, when you're reading about somebody, you have to try to figure out what's crap, what's real, what's fake, what's a real complaint and not like a complaint about the parking or the travel over. It's so far away. I'm giving him 1 star because, there's no light at the corner. So I do check some things out on Yelp, but 90% of the stuff on there I don't trust.
What if I told you it was a protection racket by internet mobsters?
Yes, I did know that they asked for advertising.
Here's Yelp's business model.
Being rated.
Harass small businesses as follow. What a lovely rating you have on our site. It'd be a shame if anything were to happen to it.
Right, exactly.
Quite a shame. We have an advertising product you can buy. It might help you in your case.
Yeah.
So, we're going to start with a story from Silicon Valley. This is Yelp and Business Extortion 2.0, a 2009 article from East Bay Express. The phone calls come in almost daily. It started to get creepy. Hi, this is Mike from Yelp, the voice says. You've had 300 visitors to your site this month. You've had a really good response, but you have a few bad ones at the top. I could do something about those. Huh. John's restaurant has more than 100 reviews and averages a healthy 3.5 star rating. But when John asked Mike what he could do about his bad reviews, he recalls the sales rep responding, "We can move them. Well, for $299 a month." John couldn't believe what the guy was offering. It seemed wrong. In fact, something seemed shady about the state of his restaurant's negative reviews. When you do get a call from Yelp and you go to the site, it looks like they've been moved. John said, you don't know if they happen to be at the top legitimately or if the rep moved them to the top. You don't even know if this is someone who legitimately doesn't like your restaurant. Almost all the time,
you're blocking your view.
When they call you, the bad ones will be on top.
Blocking your own shot.
Usually, John said, he would politely decline to advertise. Well, thanks, he'd say. I'll talk to my partner about it, or it's really not on my budget right now. But inevitably, in another week or two, he'd get another phone call. Occasionally, the voice on the other end of the phone call would change, but the calls continue. These days, John chooses not to answer his phone when it's a number with a 415 area code. John may sound paranoid, but he's got a company. During interviews with dozens of business owners over a span of several months, 6 people told this newspaper that Yelp sales representatives promised to move or remove negative reviews if their business would advertise. In another of 6 instances, positive reviews disappeared or negative ones appeared after owners declined to advertise. Because they're often asked to advertise soon after receiving negative reviews, many of these business owners believed Yelp employees use such reviews as sales leads. Several, including John, even suspect Yelp employees of writing them. Yelp does pay some employees to write reviews of businesses that are solicited for advertising. In at least one documented incident, a business owner who refused to advertise subsequently received a negative review from a Yelp employee. Many business owners like John feel so threatened by Yelp's power to harm their business that they declined to be interviewed unless their identities were concealed, as if they were victims of a mafia.
Yeah.
John is not the real restaurant owner's name. Several business owners often liken Yelp to the mafia, and one said she feared its retaliation. Every time I had a salesperson call me and I said, sorry, it doesn't make sense for me to do this, then all of a sudden reviews start disappearing. To these mom and pop business owners, Yelp sales tactics are coercive, unethical, and possibly illegal. But they aren't illegal.
They aren't illegal.
No, it's a private site. They can do whatever they want on their own private site. They've gone to court many times, and Yelp has won every single time because they don't have any obligation to the public good. That's the biggest scam in the Bay Area, John said. It totally felt like a blackmail deal. I think they'll do anything to make a sale. Former Yelp advertiser Mary Seaton said that she took a company up on its offer to move her negative reviews if she advertised. Seaton, the owner of, it doesn't really matter, she paid $350 a month for 6 months a year ago. During that time, her negative reviews were removed and old positive ones showed up. There was one negative review, but they pulled it down and then it came off. After a contract was up, Seaton said a negative review appeared, which contained lies. When she asked her sales rep about it, she responded, well, we don't get involved in that. We're not mediators. Then she chose not to review the ad contract. So, go on. One San Francisco merchant said that your sales representative rearranged the reviews on his restaurant's page to entice him into advertising. He said that around 2007, a Yelp sales rep was trying to get him to advertise, and he said, noticed some of the negative removes had moved further down the page. It was clearly a sales tactic. The rep called him up and asked, did you notice what I did? Well, we can keep doing that for you. And he turned the sales rep down and told Yelp's latest sales rep to never call him again, due to the lack of reliability of the reviews and the narrow demographic. And then she said, I'm very sorry you feel that way. He said, it's not how I feel. It's a fact. And here's more about the... here it is. This other business reviewer said, Joe, said that he initially had more than 200 total reviews. One averages a 3-star rating, and the other averages 4-star ratings. When he was advertising, when he was not advertising, it was 3-star rating. And then when he decided to advertise, all of a sudden it moved to 4-star ratings. The business owners are also disturbed that some negative reviews were written by paid Yelp employees, of course.
Yeah.
And Yelp hires scouts and ambassadors to write reviews, especially when they enter new markets. And the CEO, Stoppelman himself, has written nearly 800 reviews. Oh, man. In some cases, businesses that had received negative reviews from paid Yelpers will also ask to advertise. And so it keeps on going.
So, legally, this isn't extortion?
No.
They're going to write bad reviews about you?
They can do whatever they want.
Pay us? It seems like it would be extortion, if they could prove it.
No. But let's go to Gawker in August of 2014. Yeah. There have been reports circling of Yelp extorting small businesses for over 5 years. This was about 5 years after the first one. Those anecdotal stories have never been proven in court.
Yeah, they haven't been proven.
Because they have no obligation. But after the Federal Trade Commission's reviewed a number of complaints, shareholders are taking the company to court, claiming Yelp artificially inflated the stock price for its executives' benefits.
Yeah.
Now, if you thought
that's
that
a different,
if you thought
that's a
that,
different issue.
yeah, right. But
Yeah.
again, this is the PayPal mafia, and they are criminals, and
Yeah.
so if you thought that was the end of it, so a lot more pages to go. Anyway, the class action lawsuit focuses on Yelp's first-hand reviews. The suit says Yelp required businesses to pay to suppress negative reviews and then lied about the practice. I quote, algorithms purportedly designed to screen unreliable reviews did not comprehensively do so. Instead, the company allowed such unreliable reviews to remain prominent while the company tried to sell services designed to suppress negative reviews or to make them go away, of course. We already said that. Yelp allegedly made its millions by hiding this fact that some of the money came from extorting businesses with bad reviews. And that lack of transparency allegedly allowed company insiders to earn more than $81 million from insider trading proceeds.
Oh.
The company's stock price climbed earlier this year following a strong financial report, and then many company executives sold off all or some of their portions of the stock. Then after that, there were stuff that came out revealing the true nature of Yelp's business, and the stock price was artificially high when the executives sold off the shares. So when the FTC acknowledged the thousands of complaints against the company, shareholders were left owning a tumbling stock.
Yes, but not the executives who had sold off theirs.
Nope. Next up is an undated post from a realtor I found. It happened to a realtor who shared his experience in Reddit. Seems to be a common thing. Chances are it's happened to someone you know. A few years ago, he created a Yelp profile. Then the phone calls started. A pushy sales rep, who we'll call Sarah, desperately wanted to sell him on an advertising package. She kept throwing numbers at him. For about $300, if my memory serves correctly, he got a certain number of guaranteed clicks, an enhanced profile, and additional free ad credits each month. It all sounded legit. And at $300 a month, it wouldn't break the bank. So he relented and signed up. Big mistake. The clicks turned out to be worthless garbage. The total phone calls he was promised never materialized. And the final straw. He had one of his pals respond to his Yelp ad, and his buddy's details were passed to another realtor in town who just happens to also be a paid Yelp customer. Yeah. That's when he realized he'd get better value for money if he just burned the $300. At least they'd keep him warm for a few minutes. Yeah. So he called his Sarah and canceled his contract immediately. What happened next?
Well,
his Yelp profile received a negative review from a bogus client.
Yeah.
Then a few days later, another one. Pretty soon his profile had attracted a half dozen negative reviews, and they all showed in the search results when prospects Googled his name. He called Yelp to get him removed. They said that they couldn't do that. Okay, I'll get some of my past clients and have them post positive reviews on Yelp. At least the negative ones will get buried. But Yelp wouldn't show them. They were removed from his public profile because Yelp couldn't verify they came from a real transaction. In other words, these reviews didn't come from clients who found him through Yelp, so they didn't count. If you wanted to rack up some positive reviews, you need to attract new clients through Yelp, which would mean running paid ads again. Now, this might just all be a coincidence. Actually, I realized that I didn't print out all my pages. I think I just ran out of
ink or paper.
Paper.
This isn't even paper.
It is. It's gloss. It's glossy paper.
Why are you using photo paper?
Because it comes out nicer. But I have a backup device. I was realizing, wait a second, I have many more pages written. Where did my tablet go? Oh, here it is. Sadly, I can't be so dramatic and throw pages on the floor with my tablet. But after I get to that point...
save those so you can throw one off when you read the page.
If you want to rack up... he said, it sure doesn't look like this. It looks as if Yelp is running some kind of online protection racket where they abuse their platform and hold realtors' reputations hostage until they relent and pay Yelp's ransom. Now, how much would you hate Yelp? Wait, don't answer. There's more. Business Insider, November 2020. Okay. Headline: Heavy drinking, sex tapes, and a pyramid scheme. Yelp insiders speak out about a company's high-pressure sales culture. Right. I know 2020 article says the following. Sales reps are encouraged to sell to non-decision makers, sources said, even if the rep knows the person has no authority to allow advertising. These may be bartenders, receptionists, cashiers, relatives of the owner, or anyone else. Yelp urges them to use their personal credit cards, telling them they can show the finished ad to the business owner later and switch out the card. Of course, no refunds are allowed.
Yeah.
Yelp says this is inaccurate, and that the sales reps can only interact with these people for the purpose of building relationships. But they didn't deny talking to them. However, many people interviewed showed us their credit card statements proving Yelp had in fact done this. Also, whistleblowers have leaked sales scripts that give pointers on how to convince these people to use their personal cards. Numerous sources said Yelp sales reps routinely ignored business owners' requests to stop contacting them. They said the company maintains a do not call list of businesses that don't wish to be contacted, but unless the business owner has said a specific set of words, put me on the do not call list, otherwise unambiguous requests to stop reaching out are not honored. I can't tell you how many times I've been cussed out by a business owner to fuck off or never call me again, said a former employee. But if the wording wasn't exact, the request wouldn't be respected. A current owner admitted that they personally do not always honor even valid do not call requests. I'm going to switch to my Google Doc right now and just show everybody how unprofessional I am. I can't believe I felt like this was a lot of pages, but it turns out that no, I had even more. So, we could stand up and do a song and dance routine maybe. But I scroll. Ah, here it is. If you get a young business owner or someone who's an active Yelp user, sure, they get it. But I'm calling a 50-year-old contractor who have flip phones or don't do things online, said one current employee. This is an easy mark for some people. An easy mark. Who would use that term?
Use the term mark is already...
More...
Yeah.
Okay, we're switching. More than half a dozen sources said they had knowingly sold to business owners that they didn't think fully understood what they were buying due to a language barrier. I saw non-English speakers on Yelp ads at least twice a month. We are encouraged to direct and command these clients by management, effectively using the business owner's misunderstanding to our advantage, said another current employee. When they receive a bill, they are often confused and will likely never invest in Yelp again. This destroys trust in our company. But as long as I can show my manager's revenue, my job is safe. Everything is dependent upon my success with revenue, said a current Yelp employee. If I'm not closing, I'm treated like I mean nothing to this company and my self-worth suffers immensely. Probably both. A dozen current or former employees felt the stress of working at Yelp had serious, deleterious effect on their mental health, including depression, anxiety, or breakdowns. When a business owner told a female, and he heard it, and so a lot of these business owners seem to be unable to get Yelp to stop calling them.
Yeah.
And so they try desperate tactics. Now, what would be a desperate tactic to get people to stop calling you?
I guess you could block their call, or you could threaten them. You could call back and demand.
I'll tell you one thing that people do is they use racial slurs and sexual language.
Oh.
And so here's an example. When a business owner told a female employee on the phone that he had planned to masturbate while thinking of her, her manager urged her to continue with her pitch, she said. So it doesn't work. He said, it was all the more reason you should take his money because he's gross, the employee recalled. Many other sources said they either felt pressure to interact with sexually inappropriate business owners or witnessed other reps doing so. Earlier this summer, Yelp announced a blacklist to blacklist an, not many, but an abusive business after years of reps reporting racist and sexist abuse. And so one business, years of this guy, every time the Yelp person calls up, he just yells slurs into the phone and then said, oh, you know what, maybe we should stop calling him. Maybe we can't sell him.
Before they...
Maybe he's not going to buy our service. And it took them years. And they announced it publicly, like, here, a big change of policy we're going to do.
We're going to stop calling people who are so angry at us that they call us names. So we're going to stop calling them.
And
we're going to try to stop selling them more stuff.
One may wonder if it's simply a desperate tactic by business owners who cannot get the company to stop the phone calls.
Yeah.
What a company! Now, all of this might be forgivable if Yelp had interest in having fun with their reviews. The fact that they don't makes me feel like crying. So that was all public Yelp.
Yeah.
Now here's my personal experience. As a budding author, I like to write funny Yelp reviews. Sometimes they stay up, but a lot of times they don't.
Yeah.
So when they don't, you get an email from Yelp HQ.
Threatening you?
And
Calling you racist names? And
I have
yeah.
all of my emails from Yelp HQ. And I'm going to read them to you,
Okay.
along with my reviews that were taken down or removed from Yelp.
Let's see where this goes.
You can tell me whether you think they should have been removed or not. March 17th, 2015 at 11:28 a.m. We wanted to let you know that we removed a review for the LA County Jail. Removed content. I am looking at this place as a potential fortress for medieval warfare after the apocalypse. The cell windows would make great arrow slits for archers, and the walls are quite difficult to scale. The windows in a breezeway will be perfect for cannons, and you can safely hide in various parts of the building, secure for the Bronze Age tools of your foes. They removed that.
They removed that. Did they say why?
Yes, it violated their content guidelines.
Doesn't seem like it does.
I don't think so. They said it didn't illustrate a first-hand experience, but I mean, I viewed the building. December 16th, 2015, 12:22 p.m. Hi, Chris. We wanted to let you know that we removed your review for Lassen's Natural Food and Vitamins. Now, Lassen's a very high-end supermarket around here. Extremely high-end. Here's my review.
Okay.
OMG. I initially went to this place to be better than my neighbors who shopped at Whole Foods, but I was so disappointed. First, I pulled up in front, waiting for the valet service for over 10 minutes. People were honking at me and driving around me. Can you believe it? I finally realized the man was a vagrant and not a parking attendant. Can you imagine vagrants out in the open like that? Now, once I entered, I was greeted by what only appeared to be a fully stocked supermarket. Immediately, I pulled out my shopping list and went to work. Can you believe they had none of these items? Here's my list. Gluten-free wheat, non-GMO water, vegan salmon, fair trade cocaine. They didn't even know about them. I was literally throwing $100 bills in wads at the manager's face, and I was complaining, yelling stupefy, gentrify, stereo hi-fi. Then they had the vagrant, who I found out was really a security guard, drag me out as my stilettos remained in the aisle, a blood trail of $100 bills dripping on a shiny laminate floor as I was pulled kicking and screaming. And they removed that.
I don't understand that. What surprises me most is that someone read it. Unless they were trying to sell something to this organization.
This is an experience that I get in Lassen's almost every time I go, though.
Yeah.
I have seen stilettos with trails of $100 bills, blood, streaks of
I would think that at Lassen's, must be paying money, otherwise they
absolutely. No, absolutely.
Reviews.
And not only, but that's why some of these things seem to stay up for
no
like
one's checking.
4 or 5 years. And when they do stay up, they end up getting like thousands of likes and like people love them because it's so fun. But like
Lassen's pays to have their reviews monitored.
and they're like, no.
If they didn't and they complained about this, Yelp would ignore them.
And then the closer on this review. Back to Euro 1 for me, which is even a higher one.
Yeah.
Never again. January 27th, 2016. We wanted to let you know we've removed your review of Donut Time. Donut Time.
I haven't been to Donut Time.
Donut
the Valley?
No, Donut Time was on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Oh, and Highland.
In Highland.
Yes.
And it's no longer there, but for years it was a place where you would find
hookers.
Trans hookers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every time you'd go by, there'd be people standing out there, and they wouldn't be subtle about it.
No.
They would be like in your face, like the people that wash your windows, like when you're at a stoplight, like it's that kind of aggressive.
Yes, they come right up to your car.
And as if like, hey, I'm here to get in and give you sex. Like it was like that. Okay, so removed content. I used to go here to get donuts whose varieties were recommended from hard-working escorts who were always there waiting for the bus. What a tough life they lived. Their feminine beauty had withered through the harsh years of work. What remained was a face that looked like a middle-aged man on all of them. The horrors of capitalism. They always hardly recommended a man sandwich, But for the life of me, none of the employees knew what it was. And that damn bus never seemed to come. Poor Clitoris and her leotard waiting out there in the cold night. The 69. It's not even listed on the Metro website. I would say it didn't exist, but she was there every night. Oh, how I remember her favorite line to me. Sonny, stop shitting me. I got work to do. What dedication.
And that's not a review anymore. Huh?
The one thing I don't understand is the bathroom on site, which had holes in the stalls. And I go into... I'm not even going to read the next sentence. I screamed, can a man urinate in peace without having to play a constant game of whack-a-mole? You can take one before that. And, oh yeah, the maple old fashions were to die for. Now, viewers, I want to say this review stayed up there for 5 years before they removed it.
Because Donut Time wasn't paying them.
No,
to monitor, yeah.
I don't know, because it went down right when that movie came out.
Right, Tangerine.
Tangerine, yeah, which features Donut Time. So right when it came out, then my review went, boop.
When they suddenly knew what Donut Time was.
Right, exactly. Because in that movie, it was featured that there were prostitutes in front of you. Yeah.
That's where they went to work.
Exactly. September 29th, 2020. It's still happening. Hello. We've reached out to let you know that our moderators removed your review of Greenwich Village Pizzeria down the street.
Greenwich, yeah, I'm surprised that they let you know that they didn't just take it down, that they actually send you a
every time
email to say we've taken it down.
Every time.
And now Greenwich Village.
Flagged content.
What did you do around here?
So this is a pizza place that the only reason that people go there is because they're intoxicated.
It's in the middle of 15 or 20 bars.
All the bars close at 2:00, and at 2:01 there's a line down the street at Greenwich. Right, and they only do business after about midnight. Yeah, because people are sober before that.
Right, because it's not very good pizza, but
it's terrible.
Seem to soak up the alcohol.
Yeah, and it's and like you have to have the indiscretion of alcohol in you in order to actually use it. Okay, so flagged content. They sell this fascinating disc of industrial material, which is divided into triangles. Upon it, they put some red insulating paste, followed by, I think, a tough white bonding material. It's stored by a triangle wedge, and comes anywhere from chill to around room temperature. They put on a radioconcave piece of paper, so the chemicals don't fall off and burn your hands. I recommend going in there with a mask. I believe the smell may be toxic. I see green spores already forming in some varieties. And in others, they have small red chips on the glue. I haven't figured out what to do with the wedges yet, though. The red stuff works okay as a degreaser, but I can use the white adhesive to weld some pipes. That's as far as I've gotten. I saw one customer place the object in his mouth. It apparently induced vomiting shortly after that. So it may serve as some kind of bizarre medical purposes, for like detoxification. I really don't know. I wouldn't recommend that course of action. It looked unpleasant. Regards, Yelp support. And that is the totality of my review of my removed Yelp content.
Oh, everything else they left up.
Everything else they Yelp, including my review of I've got some pretty fun ones up there. So I have a review of a strip club, but I describe it as a restaurant, and I talk about the food, but the food always has double entendre for women's sexual things, and then everything that I read could be double read as like some
And that review is still up.
Not only is that review still up, but the business owners complimented me for how much they liked it. So I think they're proud of it. And
I do think people would say, let's go to a strip club. Well, let's check their Yelp reviews. That's how we're gonna.
Let's check their menu first. Let's just see what they're serving. How's the food? It's like people who, say that they, do Playboy for the articles or whatever. Yeah. And then, okay, so there's another one that I did, that had, the Griffith Park, but I review it from a gangster's point of view. Oh. And so, I talk about how it's like really convenient for, and I was able to put my shovel into the ground, and we were able to carry things up really nicely. Right. And obviously I'm disposing of a body, right? But I don't actually refer to it as such.
Is that still up there?
Still up. People like it.
Because nobody owns Griffith Park.
Nobody owns Griffith. Maybe this
so
way.
they can't hold up anyone for money for bad
Well, I
reviews?
got one for Archer's National Park too.
Oh.
So in that one, I'm an Indiana Jones character, and I actually have like a jeweled statue that I got like from Africa that I took there, and then it forms into like an actual sort of magical bird to like grant me wishes, and it's very sort of sort of long. So yeah, I mean I don't know why I do this, because it's like nobody cares, right?
People are reading it though.
It's fun
though. You can see how many people have read it.
Yeah, lots of people read it, I guess.
And people will click on it. Helpful. They'll mark it helpful.
Oh yeah. And they have lots of followers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's okay, but in fact, I wrote so many of those fictitious reviews for a while that I passed over the threshold and I became an elite member. I was invited to all these special events. I never went. It'd be great. It's like, yeah, you should read some of your reviews. Like, what the hell is this?
So it was just numbers. It didn't matter what you wrote.
There isn't one authentic review on here.
It was just, you just hit the number. It didn't matter how good.
There was another one that I wrote for a Mexican restaurant, and I wrote it as like Hunter S. Thompson on a trip, who like went down to Mexico and like forgot his entire weekend.
Fear and Loathing in Mexico.
And like ended up like he woke up Monday morning with like his car like parked on his on his grass, and they're like weird clothes in the back, and just it's very strange, very sort of a surreal kind of thing. And all those are still up, but some of them are from businesses that don't exist anymore. I think that's part of it. Maybe that's what they need to do.
Oh, maybe only review businesses that don't exist.
Yeah, or that are about to not exist, or parks. Yeah. Otherwise, Anyway, I was really busy this week, so I decided to do something easy, which was Yelp. And given the word count, I was supposed to have 60 minutes of content, but
60?
Yeah, 60.
Well, because you were going to go to PayPal.
No, I read it all.
Oh.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I did the math wrong. I had 15. Yeah, I did the math wrong. Yeah, I only had 15.
Well, it was longer than 15. It's almost 40.
Well, it's 30. But that was because we stopped around 22, 23 minutes in, and then
I thought you were going to talk about PayPal.
Oh, we could. Well. I mean, okay. So no, it's not really. It's PayPal's ultimately unexciting. What had happened was that there were two companies. One was called X.com, and I forget what the other one was. But they merged to form PayPal in like 98, 99 or so. And the people that were part of it have gone on to do some of the greatest and most valuable tech ever. So, for instance, Reid Hoffman founded... now, imagine what life would be like without LinkedIn. That's Reid Hoffman, And then you have some other people who were early investors in another great social good called Facebook.
Yeah. They were investors in PayPal?
Yeah.
And eBay is even, didn't they own it for a while?
That's what PayPal sold themselves to. Yeah. But they've since divested from it.
Yes. Well, eBay wanted to take another piece. They take like 10% for selling and 10% for posting, and then they took 10% of your eBay fees. And by the time, if you were a seller and you made $1, what would you get? Would you get 50 cents? Would you get 40 cents?
No, I mean...
I know it's a sliding scale.
I could actually do a joke here, but I'm not going to. Yeah. In practice, if besides shipping costs, I think that right now it's 14.5% go to them.
That's all. Mm-hmm. That's because they don't use PayPal anymore, which was an additional percentage.
They take 10%, and PayPal was 5%. And I think that now that they're doing it in-house, they're taking 4.5%.
No.
And of course, you could advertise on top of that if you wanted to.
And you could pay listing fees.
Oh, no, it depends. But there's also shipping.
Yeah.
So, for every $1, and if you mark free shipping or whatever, you're basically making like 66 cents on the dollar, which is fine.
All right.
Because, I mean, look, okay, so with me, I've made, I don't know, $6,000 in the past, 90 days. So that means I've made 4,000. What would I have done without PayPal? I made zero.
Yeah.
Well, okay, they can keep it. I don't, why should I complain?
Well, I'm surprised that eBay, they charge 4.5%, but they don't actually hold on to any of the money like eBay. PayPal held on to the money. eBay gives you the money every week now, right? They send it to your bank account.
Yeah.
So they're not even holding on to money anymore.
Well, I mean...
For 7 days. Up to 7 days.
But PayPal wasn't doing that, at the end right now. They haven't done it for years.
Hold on to the money?
No.
No, if you get paid in PayPal, they hold on to the money until you ask for it.
Well, yeah.
Where eBay doesn't.
Well,
whether you want it or not, they're paying it out on.
It depends on how you set it up.
Wednesday, yeah.
So yeah, but I set it up for daily payouts, and it takes about 2 or 3 days.
All right. So they're not holding on to money.
No, they aren't.
Yeah.
But still making it, right?
No.
Yeah, if you're making a 14-15% cut from every sale, you're doing fine.
Yeah. No, they're making plenty of money.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I don't know, it's fine. I shipped out some things today. Oh, by the way, talking about that, the episode's basically over, but we have some time, so now we're just gonna do some stupid stuff and just sort of chit chat. I did get the books for the Inside Baseball for the next things. So I did not go to the library this week because I was too busy, to be honest with you. So I didn't get to read Beatrice Sparks' earlier stuff. But I did, as you know, I did get the... Oh, I know why this, not knowing who I am. Her first book, The Key to Happiness.
Yeah. And how is it?
Yeah, it's a religious text, really. It's written for Mormons, I believe. It mentions God and church and the Mormon specific extensions to the Bible, almost on every page.
And as I pointed out when I looked up pictures of Beatrice Sparks, all the pictures of her have her hair done way up, and she's wrapped in furs, and she's got diamonds, and it's all very. She wants to look like a rich woman.
Oh yeah, that's usually how I dress.
Pictures, yeah.
But I mean, she wasn't a rich woman because remember, she sent Eldon $75.
That's right.
So here's the 4 books that I got. Satan's Underground by Lauren Strafford.
Very good.
I got The Power of Positive Thinking by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I got The Bell Curve by Charles Murray, who is a Nazi. And I got In His Image, The Cloning of a Man. So these are all con artists.
Yes.
There's 2 I want to get, but I can't. And
out of a deal?
None of them cost more than $5. No, I'm going to get Turner Diaries, which is...
Then that Turner?
No. You don't know about the Turner Diaries?
No, the Turner Diaries, I don't know.
Well, we'll go back to it. But the other one I want to get is Michelle Remembers, which is a fake diary from 1980 that started the Satanic Panic.
Oh.
So, Turner Diaries was written in the late 70s by a white nationalist. And it talks about starting a race war in a very sort of lovely term. And the guy that did Oklahoma City said that he was inspired by that.
Perfect.
In fact, I was talking about that. That was something else, another sort of potential thing to talk about because there's this website or this subreddit out there called QAnon Casualties, and it's basically for people who have a family. It's usually people who are, I guess, could be of any age.
Yeah.
And their parents or their loved ones end up being suckered into all of these conspiracies.
Like it's the Al-Anon of AA.
Right. And one of them mentioned that the QAnon people don't like Fox News.
Because it's not.
Well,
it's not insane enough.
Well, no. Let me explain this thing to you. And so, let me see how we are on time. So, first of all, okay, we got 20 minutes. Let's start. Your politics. You're basically what would be called a liberal conservative, in the real sort of politics. And so, what does that mean? That means that you think that socially people should be very liberal, but should tobacco companies should be allowed to claim free speech rights in order to sell to children? You think that should be illegal, right?
That should be illegal.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why you're a conservative with respect to that side. And so you think that there should be restrictions and rules to clamp down on business and power. Right, of course.
Right, but right now, people that are calling themselves conservatives are saying the opposite.
This is the capital letter. This is how people that study political science talk about it. And so somebody who is a classical liberal would want both things. And so they would say something like, so a lot of sort of the George Herbert Walker Bushes and the Nelson Rockefellers, they're classical liberals. So at first, they might say something like, for instance, George Herbert Walker Bush was pro-abortion in the 70s.
Until Reagan. Until he became Reagan's.
Or, the Nelson Rockefellers. And so, these days, if they were like, hey, do you think that, gays should be allowed to marry? They would sort of sit there and deliberate and say, I don't like it, but, I don't know. Like they would basically say yes to that, and then you say, should tobacco companies be allowed to sell to children? They say, I guess so, and they'd be okay with that, which sort of explains the more traditional form of Republicans that we had, right? And that's one wing. That's like the Nelson Rockefeller wing. It's also the Fox News wing, actually. And the other side is is basically what I call the Barry Goldwater wing, and that is related to Trump. And so now that we have this, and me politically, I'm more of an anarchist, and so that gets more complicated. But so here's a summary: is that Q is about, and I'm going to use Q as QAnon. It's about swift destruction of imagined enemies, which are all around us, hiding in between your sofa cushions, like McCarthyism. They want a frenzied, indiscriminate slaughter. They talk about the storm and the Great Awakening. It's an imagined bloodbath of mass genocide. That's not, strictly speaking, the free market classical economics of Fox or of Rush Limbaugh. So here is a longer explanation than I gave. And if this thing, okay. So Fox News is the modern sort of Austrian, Chicago, and Claremont school. Those are the sort of the free market, Murray Rothbard and Milton Friedman school, hybrid of classical liberalism. It's imperialism, free markets, no taxes, rugged individualism. It's the stuff you've heard your whole life, right? QAnon is about a form of illiberalism, closest to something called dicta blanda, which is a Spanish term. Basically, it's a dictatorship which civil liberties are allegedly preserved. For them, the more absolute the dictator, the greater that dictator can secure the people's liberties and freedoms against their imagined enemies. The more closed off the system, the greater their idea of freedom and liberty is. So that's why they want to insulate themselves as much as possible in this sort of like in a conservative alternative, like the Gabs and stuff like that, and they want to be surrounded because they see that as freedom. And that they want to, give as much authority as possible, and they see that as an ultimate liberty. It's this really sort of weird definition that they have. So some of the differences between Fox and Q is that Fox claims to want every legal citizen to be able to vote. Now, whether they do that or not, but that's what they say. They say, if you're a citizen, you should be allowed to vote. Yeah, I understand. Q wants to intentionally restrict it. They say, no, you should not be allowed to vote, right? Fox believes in ultimately acceding to reality after battling it to exhaustion. So they will fight like hard to be against gay marriage. But if they lose, they'll say, okay, we lost this one. All right? And they'll fight like hard next time. Q believes in a different reality. There is no denying necessary, and there's nothing to battle. They just simply believe the world exists differently. And that's it. Yeah. And they're done. You don't have to, you can't fight them. Because, they don't believe in the same world that you do. Fox wants to accumulate wealth. Q wants to accumulate power.
Yeah.
Fox believes that everyone has a baseline privilege called a human right. And it's true. Even for the illegal immigrants, they say, you know what, we should make sure that they go to court or whatever. Like, they still have some type of rights, even if they're in prison. Q believes only some have a privilege to have human rights. What Hannah Arendt called the right to have rights. This is how genocide happens. Ultimately, they're fairly compatible, which is why they caucus together politically and vote for the same people. It's the new coalition for those disillusioned by free market orthodoxies of like American Enterprise Institute and the Hoover Institute, and people that don't buy into that. So it's the new sort of systems. So it's really always been with us. And a guy named William Buckley put a lid on it and kept it sealed for decades. And I'll have to compliment him on that. It's one of the first things I ever said Buckley did well. And it's because the Q people and the Trump people, they're the other side of John Birch. The one that thought Eisenhower should be hung on television for being a secret communist spy because he introduced the highway system. Jack Welch, the Kennedy guy and big backer of the John Birch Society, actually believed that and stated that. Prior to the 1950s and the 30s, this was the American Bund and the Silver Shirts, who were the American fascists, if you want, and thought that Hitler was great and that we should have a system like that here. And the sort of the Nelson Rockefellers were the anti-New Dealers, right? So there's two sides, right? And it was really the work of people like Phyllis Schlafly, who did the hard coalition building to make this viable to the mainstream. So she was able to de-Germanify the American Bund and then make it more sort of palatable and create an American version of it, right? But it wasn't enough because, the lynch mobs and the ethno-nationalists, the David Dukes and George Wallaces, these are that side. The Nelson Rockefeller wing of the Republican Party successfully kept the Barry Goldwater wing in line. Right? In 1986, their heroes like Pat Buchanan, although now known everywhere, were still getting smacked around in the polls. So, he only got like 20%, and Bob Dole handily beat him. And their followers did extreme acts like the Oklahoma City bombing in some pathetic attempt to start a race war like in the Turner Diaries. The guy that changed it, do you know who changed it all?
Is it Lee Atwater?
Ron Paul.
Ron Paul, really?
Because it was in 2008 that he had this alternative Republican campaign and showed them that this other side existed. The bastard opened the box, right? He pulled the lid off. Of course, that had to be libertarian, right? Of course.
Religious libertarians.
So I talked about Buckley's lid, right? So I'm going to give you an example of that, and then we're going to close out on that one. So here is him talking about Pat Buchanan. December of 1991. A 40,000-word article by William Buckley was published in the National Review discussing anti-Semitism among conservative commenters, focusing largely on Pat Buchanan. The article and many responses to it were collected in the book In Search of Anti-Semitism. He concluded, I find it impossible to defend Pat Buchanan against the charge. This is him. This is the circuitous William Buckley, but listen to him. Against the charge that what he did and said during the period under examination amounted to anti-Semitism. So basically he's saying, I can't defend him against the charge. So basically he's calling him an anti-Semite, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the Q branch being pushed back to the sidelines. And so William Buckley kept the watch, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
But then once he was gone, started going crazy.
Nobody's watching anymore.
Nobody's watching anymore, right? And that's what. So anyway, that was two things.
That's enough. For
2 weeks,
week. 2 weeks.
All right, well, come on. Where are we going?
All right, I'll go home. Oh wait, I am home.